Okay, we have a file with some information on stocks, and each line looks like this. We've got the name of the company, we've got the number of shares owned, we've got the current value per share, and we've got the purchase value per share. And what we need to do is we need to read in this file, then we need to, so read it in one line at a time. We'll do read lines so we get each line on from the file as a separate string by itself in a Python list. So this is our actual file, and we will get 4 strings. And then what we'll have to do with each string is we'll have to step through the strings in the list and split them off, and that will get us another list that has 4 strings. So on Google, we'll get Google, then we'll get 1,000, we'll get 1,043.81, and we'll get 1,080.00. So that will split this into 4. They'll split one long string into 4 shorter strings, and because these are strings, but we need to convert them to numbers, we'll have to apply the int function to this, and for these other 2 over here, we'll have to apply the float function to make those into floating point numbers. Then what we want to do is we want to calculate the profit or loss. Okay, so let's first start off. Let's just copy this file, and I'm going to do Control-C here, copy it to the clipboard, and okay, I don't want to return on that last line. I want to stop right after the 35.75. So I'm going to paste that in Notepad, and then I'm going to do a file save, and for right now I'm just going to save it on the desktop, and I'm going to call it stocks.txt. So let's go to my desktop, and we'll call it stocks. Okay, so that takes care of that, and now we're going to flip over into Python, and we're going to start solving the problem. So the first thing we have to do is we have to read the file, and we're going to read the file into a list of strings where each line in the file becomes one string in the list. So let's just do file equals open, and the file is on my C drive, and it's under users, and my username is Klain, and my desktop is where it is, and the name of the file is stocks.txt. Okay, so that'll open the file, and then I want to just read everything in using the read lines method. So I'm going to call this stock lines, because each line represents one stock, and I've got a bunch of them. So it's going to be file.read lines. Okay, and now just to make sure that it's working, I'm going to do a print stock lines. And let's go ahead and run the program. We'll probably have to save it first here. And so I'm going to save this one on my desktop, and I'm going to call this stocks.py. Okay. And if I go ahead and run it, it prints out, here's my list. This is one string, another string, one for Apple, one for Twitter. Okay, so I've got 4 strings there. And now what I want to do is, so I know I've got that working, so I don't need that print in there anymore. And now what I want to do is I want to step through each string in stock line, each string in that list. So each one of these is a line, so I'm going to call a line in stock lines. Whoops. What I want to do is I want to split it into a list. So these will be my fields equals line dot split. Okay, and then to make sure this is working, let's print fields, and let's run the program again. So it's doing a single print for each field, and each time I go through here, it's going to print out. So it's going to take one line like Google. It's going to split it into 4 strings using the spaces as delimiters. So this is what I get. And then it's going to do that 4 times. So, and the split creates a list. So these are going to be in square brackets. And split also just takes a string and divides it up into substrings wherever there's white space in between. So we know that we're getting the right things. So fields now is going to be a list that holds a name of a stock and a quantity and a price and a price. So I'm going to pull those out into fields or variables that are more descriptive. So we're going to have stock name equals fields sub 0. And we're going to have shares equals fields sub 1. But that's a string. And so I need to convert it to an int. So we use the int function. The next item is the current price. And that's going to be a floating point value. And I'll do that right up front this time. And then I've got the purchase price. And that's the third field, fourth one actually, but starting at 0, it's number 3. Okay, so now I should have everything I need, and I want to find out the profit or the loss. So let's find out the cost. I'll do purchase cost equals shares times purchase price. Okay. And the current value equals shares times current price. Okay. And then to find out if I have a profit or loss, I take the current value. Okay, so profit equals current value minus the purchase cost. Okay. And now I should be able to print those out. So let's do a print. And first time I'll just do stock name and shares, comma, and purchase price and current. I did the wrong one. Purchase price is the price per share. And I want the cost, okay, and then I want the profit or loss. Okay, so let's run that, and we'll see what we get. And those are my numbers, and I'm just going to take them right here. I'm going to copy them real quickly, and I'm going to flip back over to that Word document we were looking at a minute ago, and I'm just going to go here and I'm going to paste those in. And so the Google, okay, these two numbers here are not what I'm supposed to be printing out. I'm supposed to be printing out the price per share. But let's see if these numbers are right. So I lost 36,190 on that one. I gained 54,400 on that one. 26,820 on that one, and minus 57. So it is working. All I need to do is print out the per share price for these two columns rather than the total value. So let's flip back over to Python and let's start cleaning this up. So this should be the actual purchase price, which is price per share, and the current price, which is price per share. And then what I want to do is I want to do an F string. So I want stock name is my first variable. I want that in a field. We'll do 10 columns and see how that works out. And then I want the number of shares. And the number of shares is going to be with a comma and 10 characters wide and a comma. And then I'm going to do the purchase price. And that is going to be 10 columns wide with a comma and a decimal point. And that's a floating point number, so I need an F on the end. Oh, I need N 2 decimal places, and then an F, and then close that off. And then my current price is the field name, so I follow that with a colon, the width, and then I want a comma and a decimal point in 2 places, and that's F, floating point. And then the last thing I want is my profit or loss, and I want a colon and 10, comma, point to F, and closing brace. And that looks like it might work. It's possible I got a syntax. Yes, it is possible I got a syntax error in there somewhere because I'm getting an underline here. and all it says is syntax error, and the error is I forgot my closing quotation marks. So let's try that. Now let's see what happens. So let's go ahead and run it. And my output is, so here are the numbers. I'm going to do a Control-C and copy those to the clipboard, and then I'm going to flip over here, and I'm going to get rid of this stuff and just paste the new stuff on top of it. Now, we've got a font problem here. I'm just going to change that to computer code. And check that out. Everything looks good. I caught note here. That should not be there. Okay. It belongs down below. So it looks like I've got everything except for the asterisks. Okay, so that should be pretty easy to fix. Oh, I didn't do the titles either. That's easy to fix as well. But let's go back in here and let's add one more column. And if profit or loss is less than 0, then what I want to do is I want to have a field. We'll call it star equals an asterisk. Otherwise, star equals just a space. Okay, and then all I got to do is go down here and print out star colon, and I'll print that in a field that is 1 character wide, and I think that will take care of the star. Now let's go ahead and run it again, and let's see what we get. And sure enough, we got a star on this negative number, we got a star on this negative number. So the only thing left is to do the headings. Now the headings are going to be done before I do anything else. So that's got to be outside the loop, otherwise I'll get the headings 4 times. So let's flip back over here and just see. I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to just copy this line right here and do a Control-C. And I'm going to flip over here and I'm going to do a print. And okay, so there's my text. And I'm going to do another print down below, and I'm going to print this line right here, Control-C and Control-V, and I need quotation marks around all of that because it's a string. And okay, and let's run it, see what we get. Should look pretty good. So current price, purchase price, profit or loss, and shares, and everything looks like it's lined up pretty good. We can't really do much formatting like with fonts or anything here, but what we can do is we can print. Now I have 10 columns, 10 columns, 10 columns, 10 columns, 10 columns, and an asterisk. So that's 51, but I've got a space between each one too, so I've got 4 more. So I've got 55. So what I want to print is I want to print 55 hyphens. And remember, you can do times 55 there. And looks like I got an extra blank line in there. I'm going to delete that. And now let's go ahead and run it. And I may have to raise my output here a little bit. And that's what my output looks like now. And I'm going to do a Control-C, and I'm going to flip back over, and we are going to paste that in down here. And I missed the first line. Okay, and that looks exactly like what our output is supposed to look like. So that's how you read the file. It's how you pull off the pieces and work on the individual pieces, and that's it. So make sure you're real familiar with all this stuff for the test on Thursday, as well as everything else that's on that list.